Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another book recommendation video. This one I'm going to be talking about some of my romance book series recommendations. These are all books that can be read individually, but some of them have an overarching plot and some of them just have interconnecting characters. So without further ado, let's just hop into the video. So the first series that I want to talk about is The Rajas by Sonali Dev. This follows the family of the Rajas, and each book is a different classic retelling. The first book is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and it's called Pride and Prejudice and Other Flavors. And this one sort of sets up a lot for the next books in the series. Just like a lot of the first books, it introduces most, if not all, of the characters that are going to be in the rest of the series. I'm not actually sure if this series is completed, but last year she came out with her fourth book, The Emma Project, but I've only read the first three so far. But anyways, so the first book follows Trisha Rajay and DJ. Trisha Rajay is a neurosurgeon and is considered the black sheep of the family, which you find out throughout the book, like why she's sort of an outsider in her family. She's sort of broken the unspoken rules that her family has set up. And then DJ is friends with, I think it's her cousin, if I remember correctly, her cousin who is a chef. He is also a chef. He's a pastry chef or a dessert chef. Anyways, they really clash at the beginning. There's just a lot of, he thinks she is a stuck-up rich girl, and she thinks that he is just plain rude. So they just do not get along. But then it turns out that Trisha is one of the only surgeons that will be able to save his sister Emma's life, and they have to sort of get along, and the rest is in the pages of this book. The tension in this book is really good, and I really like the way it sets up the family and the expectations that are going to follow all the siblings and all the family members throughout the books. This one sets it up really nicely. The next book is Recipes for Persuasion, which is a retelling of Persuasion. This one is my favorite one of the three that I've read, and I really liked it. The second one follows Ashna, who is the chef of her family's restaurant that is really crumbling and is not doing well. So she decides to go on this reality TV show that pairs chefs with celebrities in order to win money that will help save her family's restaurant. And she gets paired up with Rico, who happens to be her first love, and they both actually think that the other left without any warning or explanation, and were really heartbroken and were each other's first love. So it's sort of like the tension between them on the reality TV shows that it's a second chance. I love second chance romances. I love anything that's like reality TV show kind of based, and this one is just a lot of fun and really cute. The third book is Incense and Sensibility. This one is a retelling of Sense and Sensibility, obviously. This one was probably my least favorite of the three, but it was still really cute and fun. So this one follows Yash Rajay and India. Yash is the family politician. He's now running for state senator, I think. Anyways, so he's running for a state senator. He's like the family politician. The whole family is like rallies around him and does anything in order to keep up his image and keep him going in his race for state senator. But during one of his rallies, his bodyguard actually gets shot and is in critical condition, and so he starts to have panic attacks and whenever he has to go out into big crowds anymore. So he works with India, who is a yoga instructor, in order to do some breathing work and help control his panic attacks. This is also sort of a second chance romance. India and him met at his sister's wedding years ago, but then he ends up being in a relationship for of convenience. He's in a relationship of convenience and just does not contact India after that night. But then when they have to work together to help control his breathing and help him gain his sense of normalcy, they are both pushed into each other's path again, and the rest is history. The next book series that I want to talk about is The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rashan. These books are so underhyped in my opinion, and I love strong female main characters, and all three of these books follow strong female main characters. The premise is that they set up the premise for all three books in the first book again, where they all meet because they find out that this guy has been dating all three of them, and they show up at this restaurant to confront him, and then all end up becoming really good friends because they all bonded through this horrific moment because someone films the whole encounter and puts it on the internet, and so they are all sort of bonded from this like very traumatic incident with men, and they decide that they're going to put a break on boyfriends and focus on their passions instead. So the first book follows Samaya and Daniel. Samaya is a data analyst and app creator, and she's been working on this side project of building her own app, which I can't remember. It's something about getting friends to meet up, but I can't remember exactly what it's about. Anyways, so she's creating this app, and then she meets Daniel at work, so it's a bit of a work romance relationship, but he is just she's really denying the chemistry they have because she's working on this boyfriend project that they pact thing that they all agreed to, and he just comes in at the worst time, but he's just a little too perfect, so she doesn't trust him either. And yeah, and it's about all of that. The next book follows Taylor and Jamar. Taylor is a personal trainer who is trying to kickstart her personal training work, like her own business as a personal trainer. And Jamar is an ex-NFL player who is trying to rehabilitate in order to potentially get a spot back in the NFL. So he hires Taylor to get him back into fighting shape, and there's a lot of tension, and she wants to be taken seriously, so she doesn't want to pursue the connection that they have together. So there's all that tension. I will say with this one, make sure you check I would put some trigger warnings on if you have any issues or sensitivities around food or exercise. I would skip this book because I do think that there are some, because he's trying to get back into really good shape. They do talk about counting calories and exercising, and like they talk about a lot of that, which I just think can be kind of triggering. So I just want to preface that if you have any sort of sensitivities around that, make sure to just skip this book. And last but not least in this series, because it was my favorite, this one follows London and Drew. London and Drew went to high school together and were academic rivals. They were always trying to one-up each other, and I think they actually both ended up being co-valedictorians together, so that they meet up again at a high school reunion, and then it turns out that he is actually working at her hospital trying to find a budget that works so that they don't have to become a privatized hospital, which she is very against. And she thinks that he is just there to basically work against them and like work in order to create them into a privatized hospital. So there's a lot of tension there, and their banter in this book is just so good. Taylor's project is that she has to find a hobby because she's a workaholic and she doesn't leave the hospital ever, and work is her passion, so she has to find a hobby, which Drew sort of ends up being that hobby. And the last series that I'm going to talk to you about is the Simple Men series by Lauren Blakely. This series follows each of 5 siblings in this family, and it does have an overarching plot line to do with their mother and father. Their mother is accused of murdering their father for hire, and there's this whole big like thing behind it with which I don't want to spoil, so I don't want to give away anything that happens, but there is an overarching plot and you find out a bit more about that in each of the books. And all these books are available free on Audible if you have a subscription, so that's a big plus about the series. The first one follows Brent and Shannon, and it's a second chance romance. There's a big honestly, it's a big miscommunication at the beginning, so if you just have to push through that miscommunication though in order to start enjoying the story, because it will drive you nuts at the beginning about this miscommunication if you don't like miscommunication trope. The next book follows Sophie and Ryan. Ryan is ex-military and has his own security company, and Sophie is a billionaire philanthropist. Yeah, and so like those are kind of, there's the tropes of the billionaire-esque and ex-military really alpha hero in this one, and I really liked this one. This was probably my favorite of the three I read. And then the third book follows Elle and Colin. The tropes in this book are slow burn, friends to lovers, single parents. All these books have a lot of tropes in them. And the hero falls first in this one. And those are the three romance book series that I want to recommend in this video. I can make so many of them. I'm in the middle of so many series though, so I was trying to narrow it down to books that can be read as standalones if there's one that just really piqued your interest. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave in the comments down below what your favorite romance series is. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.